Commissioner, welcome back to the program here. Texas farmers have record yields of corn this year. There's lots of soybean and sorghum as always here, but their main customer, China, not buying any of it because of the trade war ongoing with the Trump administration here. What's going to happen to Texas farmers as they go into the harvest this fall?
Well, we've got a good harvest finally, but it's not worth anything. That's the problem. That's the way it usually goes. Well, there is hope on the horizon. Actually, as we're filming this today, there is talks with the Chinese on tariffs, and hopefully we will have a breakthrough there. I know we just cut a deal. We're sending our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, to the UK. They're going to be talking about buying some more of our corn, some ethanol. So we've got some deals in the works. So I think the future looks bright. We've got record low commodity prices. The good news is we've got record production both in corn and cotton. So we just need to get our prices up a little bit more, and I think we'll be fine.
Well, we're hearing that the president delayed trade talks with China until the 12th of November here to give them time to work things out. It's kind of slow going on that front here. There's also that case before the Supreme Court over the legality of President Trump enacting these tariffs here. How long do you think, though, Texas farmers can sustain this?
Well, the crop really won't be harvested until about mid-November. All of it will be in. Cotton really won't even be in fully by the 15th of November. But I really look like those talks will resume prior to that November date. I don't think that's hard and fast. I look for something to happen before then.
What are you hearing from Texas farmers, Commissioner?
Well, it's tough. It's the lowest commodity prices we've had in probably 20 years. If it wasn't for the good production, we'd be out. A lot of farmers couldn't get financed this time, so there's a lot of idle land out there. Most of the state's in good shape. We've got ample rains. That's why we've got good crops. But from El Paso to Brownsville, if you're in a county that touches the Rio Grande, you're still in a drought. So those people are still hurting. We just sent out about $280 million in water grants to those farmers who were denied water from Mexico because they couldn't plant crops this year. So we struggle, but hopefully there's help on the horizon.
Well, ever hopeful there, but I mean, how hopeful are you about this? Because you know how politics goes.
Well, I know Donald Trump. I know he wrote the book, Art of the Deal. I know under the last Trump administration, our farmers faced this very same problem of low commodity prices. It was worse then because we were having to dump soybeans and other commodities on the ground. We couldn't even store them. We had so much of them. And when it was over and said and done, we made more profit than we'd ever made. We got the best commodity prices ever made. And that would have helped, true, but the Biden administration didn't hold China to the agreement that they let it lapse. Another problem we've got is ag trade deficit. Under the Biden administration, they did not cut one new trade deal. Zero, none. That's why we have an ag trade deficit. So we're working really hard. I'm going to South America end of the month to try to open some new markets there. We've got other commissioners, USDA people traveling around the globe, trying to win our old customers back and open new markets. And I feel optimistic it will be successful on both.
Well, let me ask you about that. In 2019, I remember President Trump and Republicans ended up having to pass $23 billion in subsidies for farmers because of the depressed prices and because of the tariffs back then, too. Do you expect this ongoing trade war is going to result in more handouts to farmers?
Well, we hope not. We don't really want handouts. We want good prices and profits, and that's what we got under the last Trump administration. He told us, he said, "Now, boys, it's going to get a little rough at the front, but I'll take care of it." And he did. He did not let us go out of business. He passed that amount you just described there, and he kept the farmers afloat until prices went back up, and they did go up, and we made a very good profit. And I look for the very exact same thing to happen this time.
I'm reading about Republicans across the country who are getting concerned about this. Congressman G.T. Thompson is a Republican from Pennsylvania. He chairs the U.S. House Agriculture Committee. He's preparing legislation right now to ease the migrant labor shortage that farmers are seeing all across the country. How badly is that needed right now, especially here in Texas?
Well, it's odd you'd bring that up. I was in Chairman Thompson's office last week when I was in Washington, D.C. So we talked about that. Labor's tough. It's not as tough as it used to be because we replaced a lot of our labor needs with technology. We've expanded our H-2A program. 4 years ago, it was 75,000 was the limit. We've got that nearly to 400,000 now. So that has helped. Hopefully we can raise the limits on that. The problem is the cost. The cost of running an H2A worker on your farm is much higher than it used to be. If you could hire local labor, it would be cheaper than hiring the farmer, farm labor. So we'll continue to work on that. Hopefully we can expand those numbers and make sure that agriculture's labor needs are met.
The U.S. agricultural workforce fell by 155,000 workers from March into July of this year, and everyone's pointing to deportations as the reason why. Should the president change his stance on deportations, especially for farm workers?
Oh, I don't think he needs to change his stance on deportation, but we do need to expand the guest worker program. We want the workers to be here. We want them to be here legally, not illegally. Yes.
Let me back up on another issue you brought up a few moments ago too. We're hearing the Trump tariffs are driving up the cost of fertilizer and farm equipment for farmers in Texas and across the country. Have you spoken to the White House about that issue or about any of this so far?
Well, we just had a discussion with Brooke Rollins this morning about that. Those high prices are lingering over from the Biden administration. Everything is up during the Biden administration. So we inherited those high prices, the fertilizer increases, the transportation increase, electricity increase, the fuel prices. They're all higher than they were during the last Trump administration. But as we know, those prices are coming down. Fuel prices are coming down. They're not as low as before they need to be. Fertilizer prices have stabilized, so that helps. But what would help more than anything is to get profitable commodity prices. It's not the inputs so much as it is the low commodity price.
But there's no question though, tariffs have exacerbated these high prices though.
Well, what tariffs have done is brought U.S. jobs back home. We are less dependent now on fertilizer from China for sure. We're now taking natural gas and making more of our own anhydrous ammonia, which is nitrogen. We're less reliable on them for our phosphorus. We're importing that from our neighboring to the north, Canada. So the good part is it's made us less reliant on China, which is a good thing.
What would you point to as the main issue here? Is it the lack of migrant farm workers, or is it the lack of a market for Texas farmers to sell their goods?
Well, the main problem is low commodity prices. Everything is extremely low, with the exception of livestock, particularly cattle. Cattle prices are good. Cattle owners are making really good money, actually record profits if you're in the cow-calf business. But the row crop farmers, those are the guys that are suffering right now, and it's strictly low commodity prices.
And that's driven by no place to sell it, right?
No place to sell it, and that's exasperated by the Biden administration losing all of our customers, running up a $50 billion trade deficit. We've never had trade deficits before until the Biden administration came along. We are buying, what that means is we're buying $50 billion more food than we're exporting. We've always been a net exporter of agriculture goods. We've never had to buy more food than we sell. So winning those customers back, we're struggling, but we're getting there. We're winning them back. The ag trade deficit actually dropped by about $2 billion this last month.
And instead of shocking the system with what's kind of happened here with President Trump, do you think he should have eased into this more so farmers wouldn't have been pinched so hard this year?
There was no easing into it. What he's done is good. The tariffs will get our economy back going and get our farmers back, get the commodity prices back up. It's a negotiating tool, and you take the tariffs and you negotiate higher commodity prices, higher rice and corn and grain sorghum and cotton prices. That's what the tariffs are used for, is negotiations.
And to make sure I'm clear, though, because I kind of stepped on you a moment ago, Commissioner, which one's the bigger issue? Is it the lack of migrant workers to work in the fields, or is it the lack of a place for Texas farmers to sell their products?
It's low commodity price. It's low prices is what's hurting us more than anything. The rest of the stuff we're not in that bad a shape on.
And you think that you're hopeful that this could get dealt with before the end of the year?
I'm really optimistic that it will be done before the end of the year. Yes, sir. I think so.
And if it doesn't, I mean, I know how farming works. I mean, these farmers go year to year on this stuff, taking out loans. They couldn't last into next year without any type of help, could they?
Well, we'll have to make that decision by next, March and April when it comes planting season. we'll have a much more clearer picture by then for sure.
You mentioned beef prices. Let me ask you about that because we're doing a podcast separately on that. I'd like to include your thoughts on this. The price of beef is at a record high right now. Cattle herds are at their smallest, the thinnest they've been since the 1960s, I've read here. And Texans, we're paying more for barbecue and hamburgers. And I guess the question is, should the state get involved and try to adjust the market here or let the market continue on?
I think let the free market work itself out. Anytime the government puts their hand in it, they mess it up. The good news is we're not. We may be low on cattle numbers, but we're not that low on beef, and I'll explain that. Normally, a steer in the feedlot would be sent to the processing plant at about 1,150, 1,200 pounds. Because of the low corn prices, we're able to feed those up to 1,200 and 1,500 pounds. So each steer now is producing about 20% more beef. So that's what's kept the price of beef, especially hamburger and the lower cuts, at a reasonable price. We're low on cattle, but our overall beef is not at that same ratio.
And everything I'm reading is there's kind of no end in sight for this, that these prices are going to remain high for quite a while. Do you expect that to happen?
Well, yeah, I think they're going to be up there for a while. I don't know that they'll stay at these prices. If we could, solve the screwworm problem in Mexico and open up the ports to our stocker cattle coming out of Mexico, we get about 15% of our cattle from Mexico. We haven't really gotten any there in about 10 months. So that has exasperated the cattle numbers, that we have. And that's another 15% fewer numbers. So if we could open that up, of course, those numbers are backed up. We'll have to be careful. We'll have to let them trickle in slowly, or we'll crash the market. But when that opens up, that should relieve some of the beef prices for consumers.
And we're not getting beef from Mexico because of the screwworm, that deadly fly that can just decimate
That's true.
livestock.
That's true. We're not allowing any live animals to cross the border, come up here and go into. Basically, they go into. Most of them come in November, December, and are run on winter pasture, and then in the spring they go into feedlots.
What are you looking forward to here, Commissioner? What should we be looking forward to as we go into the next 4 to 6 weeks here as we close in on harvest?
Well, I think the good news is we're having a bumper crop of corn. We're going to have the biggest cotton harvest we've had in years. So those are numbers, even at low commodity prices, some farmers will be able to make a profit because of the sheer volume. And so that's going to help. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have negotiated our way into a good situation on these commodity prices.
And can you tell us what countries you're going to in South America to look to open markets?
Well, I'm headed to Colombia. Yes, sir. Colombia.
All right. Going to Cartagena, Medellin, or I guess Bogota is the capital, right?
Medellin, Bogota. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Commissioner, we always appreciate the time, sir. Thank you.
Anytime, my friend. Thank you.